everybody? The Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we got something pretty special that we're going to look at, or at least it's special to me. I recently acquired 2 new Safari LTD figures that I just got for myself on Amazon, thanks to an Amazon gift card I got from my aunt for my birthday. So you could still count these as birthday reviews, but you know, you can call it what you want, but these are just, I'm going to review the 2 figures that I got because these are ones that I have wanted for a while. I just haven't gotten around to actually getting them. So, yeah, the first one we're going to take a look at is the slightly newer, or I guess the most recent Safari LTD Spinosaurus. And yeah, technically, maybe I would have been okay if I didn't review this. I mean, this is kind of an older figure already, and there's already quite a few reviews on YouTube about this figure, so maybe it's kind of not worth it that I'm doing a review of it now, but I think it'd be really nice just to kind of do one just because, and, you know, kind of fill in my own thoughts about it. So yeah, here we have the slightly newer Safari LTD Spinosaurus, and yeah, this was a figure that's been out for a while. This one is actually a 2021 release, so it's been quite a while. I mean, 2021, that was the year I graduated from high school, so that's definitely a little while ago, and it took me this long to officially get this one. It's definitely a figure I've been wanting for a while. I just haven't gotten around to actually getting it. You know, most of my money has always been going towards Mattel Jurassic World figures, and not so much of these. The only time I really get any models is if, like, you know, anyone in my family is asking for any ideas for anything, whether it's for like Christmas or my birthday. And if I don't have anything else to really ask for, like, for example, like if I don't have a lot of Mattel things to look for, whether I got them all or there just aren't really any out there that I'm interested in, then I move on to models, because there are plenty that I'm still on the lookout for. So, and, you know, I don't really live close to a lot of areas that sell these, or at least I don't go to them all the time. A lot of these models you can find at like museums. Like here in Colorado, you got Dinosaur Ridge, you got the Morrison Museum of Natural History, you got the Denver Museum of Natural History, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, that's the correct name, and then there's even the Rocky Mountain Dinosaur Resource Center. And all of those have their own little gift shops that have all these little models, and I don't go to those places all the time. As much as I love them, you know, they cost money to go there, so I can't really go there all the time. But when I do, I usually pick up some models. And so, yeah, just kind of a little explanation there. But managed to finally pick up the 2021 Spinosaurus from Safari off of Amazon, and I'm actually super happy to have it. And I will say, yes, it is definitely a smaller figure. It's definitely a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, like, larger, but definitely not as big as, you know, their T-Rex or their Giganotosaurus. But yeah, this thing is actually really small, but it's cool because a lot of detail is actually packed into this little figure. And yeah, what makes this Spinosaurus really cool is that this is like Safari's second one that they made very close together. Their original Spinosaurus, or their newer one they made, was a 2019 release, and then all of a sudden Safari brings out this one for 2021. That's because of the newer discoveries that were made on Spinosaurus back in, I think, 2020 was when that occurred. So that was more the large paddle-like tail, which is, you know, now everything about Spinosaurus these days in terms of just paleo art, a lot of just fossil reconstructions, just everything about Spinosaurus today is always this. And even the new Spinosaurus in Jurassic World Rebirth has the big paddle tail, and I can't wait to get a figure of that. So yeah, really cool. Spinosaurus is definitely a really cool dinosaur. I guess you could say it's definitely amongst my favorites, maybe in my top 20 probably. But it's a really cool one, and I love how this poor dinosaur is always getting changed throughout the years. It's like, oh no, this is different, oh no, this is different, oh, it turns out it has this. So I think like the biggest things, I think, was just the big paddle tail that's come out recently, and that's just really cool. It's like a giant oversized salamander, kind of. But yeah, it's still a really cool figure, and it's still a really cool dinosaur. A lot of detail packed in this little figure. A lot of nice coloring. I really love the colors on this one. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of the detail here. Here you got the classic, or at least the classic in terms of newer things, the skull of the Spinosaurus, looking very nice. And I love, yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of shrink wrapping here in the skull, which I guess may not be entirely accurate to a real life dinosaur, you know, because there'd be a lot of muscle and skin all over the bone. So I guess it would only be shrink wrapping it if it was, you know, really starving or not eating very well, which you do see a lot in animals today. So I guess it is what it is. You got the nice little crest up there. I like the black eyes. Sometimes when it comes to certain figures, it makes it look kind of lifeless. Like there's literally no soul in this thing whatsoever. But sometimes you look at a lot of animals, their eyes appear dark from afar. And to me, it's kind of a natural look. So I guess I really like the black eye. And then the teeth are looking very nice as well, nicely sculpted. And actually, speaking of sculpt, this is one of the slightly newer safari sculpts that they've done somewhat recently. This is like the same sculpting that they've done for like the Giganotosaurus, the Diplodocus, their Dinodan, Stygimoloch, and the Nanotyrannus. Just a lot of them that have like that smoother texture to it. And I really like that one too. But I mean, man, you cannot beat that sculpt work on that Megalosaurus though. That sculpt on that figure is just absolutely beautiful. Back to the Spinosaurus. The sculpt in the head is really nice. The teeth are nicely done. Paint wise, I mean, obviously these figures are hand painted, so they're not going to be entirely full on precise as a lot of other companies. These ones, you can tell that they are hand painted because the paint does bleed over onto the sculpt instead of the teeth. But I'm not too worried about that. Like I said before, something about these figures I just really love more than other model figures, just because, I don't know, hand painted just kind of means that there's a lot of care that goes into these figures. Even if the paint doesn't necessarily apply that well compared to other figures, that just means, you know, that it's being hand painted rather than just using a factory or something like that. Kind of hard to explain, but hopefully you guys will be able to understand where I'm coming from. Inside of the mouth is nicely well painted. I don't even think there's a tongue or much detail really in there, but it's painted like this fleshy pink color. Teeth are painted like this nice white color. And then moving on to the neck, got a lot of nice scales. And even though this guy has a lot of scales, it's kind of like has like that smooth texture in it, like some of the other safari sculpted figures. I like these little rows of osteoderms or bumps here on the neck, and here on the side of the neck, and then on the top of the ridge as well. The neck is actually very thin, very skinny, and very thin. I think in real life it might have been just a bit more beefier, a bit more thicker, because these animals had to have a lot of meat on them. You know, when you look at the skeleton of a hippo, and if you were to reconstruct it like how we do dinosaurs today, it's probably going to look a lot different than the hippos actually look like. I mean, hippos are actually very chunky, very fat. You know, they have a lot of muscle and meat on them, and it looks different compared to their actual skeleton. So who knows if dinosaurs had the same thing. I think they did to some degree, but I definitely think the Spinosaurus's neck would be a lot more thicker, in my opinion anyway. But the scales are very nicely done. The ridges on the neck are nicely sculpted. And here towards the body, you got really nice scoots here on the side of the body that pretty much go all the way down to the tip of the tail. Very crocodilian-like. So I kind of like how Safari is still adding like that crocodilian aspect. Some people don't like it. I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool when you add it to a dinosaur like this. So even though this is a more of a scientifically accurate Spinosaurus, having some crocodilian traits in it, I don't know. There's something about that I really like. I'm just glad they're not going to go too overboard, because these are more supposed to be represented to more of a science-related, more accurate representations of these dinosaurs rather than what Jurassic Park and Jurassic World have done. You know, they're just more focused on just having some fun movie monsters. But yeah, the scoots are really nicely done. They feel really nice as well on the fingers. The sail is really nice too. It has like a rough texture to it, which is really cool. You can feel the spines on the sail, which is really cool because it's kind of a thin sail, but you can see the individual spine rods sticking out from the back. And then it's obviously connected with the skin right here, which is looking very nice, nicely sculpted with the scales and the lined texturing. And then here on the arms, nice, long, muscular, and large arms, very typical with a lot of the current Spinosaurus reconstructions. And you got the really classic Spinosaurus hands with the big claw up front and the two little ones to the side. Nice scoots on the fingers themselves, and the claws are looking nice, and I like the white paint that's applied to it. They look really nice. And then here at this hind leg right here, I like how beefy the thigh looks here, because I feel like you see that a lot in modern paleo art, because you're adding a lot of meat and skin to these dinosaurs instead of just following where the skeleton is. You gotta add some places, add some more skin connecting to different areas of the body, you know, which is why I think modern animals are really good examples for references when you're reconstructing past animals. Not identical, but at least it'll give you an idea of what you could do. So I really like how large the thigh is. Surprisingly, not a lot of muscle definition, but that might be just because, you know, there's a lot of meat on here, so I guess it wouldn't allow for much flexing of the muscles. And here you got the really thin, really skinny rest of the leg here, from the knee all the way down to the foot. So the foot is really tiny, really tiny, but it's nicely sculpted though. I like the ridges on the foot and the white claws. Here on this side you can see the foot, this one's being pulled back because it's in like a walking position. See, this foot is raised up in the air because it's being lifted off the ground. That is really cool. More here on the body, like the larger scales that are sculpted in very nicely, and some more of the scales here on the sail and the more of the skin lined texture. Here on the underside, just some more of the classic scaling. And you can see the dew claws also sculpted and painted. And then we move on to the backside, which has like that really nice looking paddle tail, which looks really great with the scales and the scoots on the side. And you got the more fin looking structure here at the top, which is really nice. You can kind of see a little bit of the individual rods in the, you know, in the spine area or the top area of the tail. You can kind of see it depending on where the shading is. So that is really cool. And it has like this really nice rough texture to it. It's even kind of bumpy and spiny here at the top, which is really cool. I really like that detail. And yeah, overall, the sculpting on the Spinosaurus is really good, especially for a smaller figure. Paint-wise, the paint is really good on this one. I really like it. It's different from other Spinosauruses. And I don't know, just something about it just kind of screams a water dinosaur. So I really do like that. I like the goldish, yellowish color for the primary version of the body. It almost appears green in some areas, but it's pretty much like this yellowish gold color. And it's outlined in like this very cool shade of a blue that kind of stripes through the neck, stripes throughout the body, as well as the arms and the legs, stripes down to the tail, stripes through each of the rods here on the sail, and it pretty much covers the entire top half of the fin area of the tail. And you got some white here on the sail, some white stripes on the tail, which looks really good. I like how it pops. And you got a little bit of like that yellowish color over here in between the blue and the white, so it just kind of gives like a really nice contrast with each other. And you got like this light white color for the underside that kind of fades from the hands and the feet and fades into that yellow color. And you got a little bit of that blue in between the fingers, sprinkled here on the legs, even in between the toes. So it's almost like representing webbed feet and webbed hands to help it swim, but we don't even know if Spinosaurus really have that. And you got a little bit more of like that blue for the top of the head, which looks really nice. So yeah, I really adore the colors on this Spinosaurus. So quickly, since we already took care of that, and also stance-wise, it stands pretty nicely. It's not in a full-on quadrupedal stance. It's not walking on 4 feet, which a lot of representations of Spinosaurus back then kind of had. They like walked on its knuckles. I think they just had to find a way to get this guy to stand. So the hands aren't even in a knuckle position for the most part. Might just be just to help it stand. The tail kind of helps hold that up too. And the pose is really nice too. Like a nice movement of the pose with the bending of the neck and the swaying of the tail and the bending of the spine here, or the sail compared to the body. It's really cool. Now for comparisons, we'll do quite a few here. We're going to compare it with another fellow animal that lived alongside Spinosaurus, and we got the Sarcosuchus. This is the 2020 Safari Sarcosuchus. This one actually came out before the Spinosaurus, but they look really nice. Definitely not accurate at all. This thing is huge. They're both huge animals. Spinosaurus would be much more bigger compared to Sarcosuchus, but kind of gives you a size of how, or a sense of how small this little Spinosaurus figure is. But really cool figure, by the way, this Sarcosuchus. I really wish this Spinosaurus was as big as the previous ones, just so it would be able to scale nicely with the T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus. And the fact that it's small, just, you know, it just kind of feels weird, but again, it's just, these are models, they're not in scale like Mattel's figures. So here is, I think Safari's one of the more somewhat recent attempts to make a Spinosaurus. This is the 2019 Spinosaurus. This is obviously before this one came out, because this is before the newer Discovery came out of Spinosaurus, which is why they made this newer one. This one came out right before that Discovery. This one's supposed to represent the more M-shaped tail and the more crocodilian lifestyle in terms of the swimming aspect. This guy had a lot of crocodilian-like scales on it, but it looks really cool though. I like the size of this one. This one, the size is really great, but obviously it doesn't compare design-wise like this one. This one's really good. And we'll also go ahead and throw in, even though this one's not Safari, the Papo 2019 Spinosaurus. This figure is absolutely gorgeous. This is probably one of my all-time favorite Spinosaurus figures, along with this one. And this one's just, it's really great. One of the best from Papo. I love everything about this one. The head on it, man, this figure is just phenomenal. It's awesome. Obviously much bigger than this puny little one right here. But, you know, it's not really a contest if it was bigger, but it is really cool to see these three different Spinosauruses together. So yeah, this video turned out to be a lot longer than I thought. Sometimes you have a lot to say when it comes to these little figures, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the, I have to look again, the 2021 Safari Ltd Spinosaurus. Let me know what you guys think about this figure, if you have it, if you like it, if you don't like it, you know, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little review, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.